Hey Ashley, things are looking good. UVs are in a good spot for right now. As we start baking maps, we might adjust them. Um, Sorry, this is acting a little squirrely here. There we go. Okay. As far as your projection, what you could do, because of the way you laid out your UVs, or because you did lay out your UVs, when you bring that back over, ZBrush makes polygroups based off your UVs. So I have your low res Maggie here selected, and we want to bake, or not bake, project from the high res detail to this low res piece. Um, I already did it once, and you can see I'm getting a little bit better control in the mouth than what you had. There was some squirreliness there to begin with, but when you bring this in, you can hit Control Shift and click on the group that you want selected. That way, everything else is hidden and it really shouldn't be involved with the projection. So this is going to allow me to just concentrate on what's out here. So I can bring my influence down on this move and just kind of fix those couple points that are going squirrely. Turn on the high res and then do a project all. Turn off that high res to see if it's fixed. So something must not be aligning right there. We could bring down our distance of influence. We could bring down our mean. We have a couple options here. So let's try 0.01. Turn that high res back on. Project all. Turn that high res off. So it's a little bit better here. So we might have to smooth it a bit, or also we can try to move it in a little bit to see what maybe it's trying to project to. The other thing you can do to help yourself out is now it's easier to see inside the head with everything hidden. Under display properties, you can turn on double, and that's going to really kind of allow you to see what's going on here. With the lips, so you can maybe move some of these points more into the position that you think they should belong. So this, right? So you can get in there, you can edit that, and then continue the projection up. Your other option is if you want to stay more away from the lips and just keep projecting. It's not as fast as projectile, but you have brush, Z, and then Z project. So what you can do with Z project is if I turn this high res back on, now as I subdivide this, I can pick the areas that I want to project, right? So the areas where there's more detail or there's, a lack of detail, I can just project those areas and stay completely away from the other areas. So that's another option. Um, so there are times where if I'm having issues doing a projectile, yes, it's faster, but I will potentially go in and just hand do areas or hand fix areas between the Z project brush, um, and maybe having to smooth and move some geometry around. As far as your clothing goes, I usually don't like to add thickness to the clothing until kind of the last, as one of the last steps that we do. Okay, so when I do my extractions, so if I were to, mask off an area that we wanted to do as an extraction. I would put my thickness to 0 and extract and accept. And then I will have a piece with no thickness, and then I don't have to worry about walls or shelves or anything like that. And you can move it a little bit, you know, off the surface to see it better if needed. And then what I'll do is once my folds are done, my wrinkles are done, then I can just do a slight extrude inside of Maya, or I could potentially do another extraction on that piece, and this time adding thickness to it. So those would be kind of your two options with that. So it'll look thin and a little bit unrealistic, but it's going to be easier for you to work with. You can do the back face masking so you don't kind of pull the clothing through itself. So if you want to work with thickness, you can, but I've found that this is just easier for me to do. And then the last thing I just wanted to comment on is I know there's some lace and stuff inside your character's clothing. So if you can either look a couple things up on YouTube as far as making lace, but essentially all you're going to do is make an alpha. And what I would do is finish your cloth like in its base form. I would then retopologize that. I would UV it, and then you can, on those UVs, kind of paint the alpha inside of Maya. And here, this guy draws the alpha. Once you have that alpha or that mask created based off the alpha, then you're basically just going to delete what is not masked off or inside that alpha. You're going to basically remesh it. So with the Q remesher, that'll get things flowing with the lace. Like it says here, it's also going to reduce the poly count, and then you can add the thickness back to it. Okay, but if you think about doing this, let's say around her neck, if the UVs were laid out here, you could just put a lace pattern on it, and then once all your wrinkles and stuff are done, that lace is going to follow those wrinkles. So there's a lot of information on this. There's a good book on Safari books that I can pass a link to you about too, that can kind of go through the process. But you're doing good. You know, you're moving forward. I think the Z Project brush and the poly groups can kind of help you with finishing off your projections.